SportsLine, enjoying our hour with Coach Dave McGinnis, longtime NFL coach, former head coach with the Arizona Cardinals, former Titans assistant, now Titans radio analyst with Mike Keith on Titans Radio on game days. Boy, this hour's flying by, Coach.
It's going fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Let's do it for 2 hours.
Let's do it.
I did an 8-hour game. We did an 8-hour game on the radio down in Miami, so I'm good for 7 more.
I'll tell you, I was there, and I just sat in the press box trying not to overeat because I was so bored. I mean, there was nothing to do.
You know,
there was just no. I give you guys tremendous credit for handling that the way you guys did.
Let's give Mike Keith and that Titans radio crew credit. Look. I'm brand new at this.
Right.
I mean, all they say, Coach Mack, you talk. I can talk.
Right.
Okay. As organized as those guys were and the professionalism it was impressive to be a part of. But look, when I first came on board with Mike Keith, John, he gave me a binder, last season.
Yeah.
And in that binder, about 20 tabs, and one of the tabs of that, and I read through it because it's a playbook, so I wanted to see, I wanted to be prepared. And one of them was game day procedure, weather delay. So popped it. As soon as that happened, Mike Keith reached into his backpack, pulled that out, bam, pulled it out, and everybody started going right down the line. It was amazing, and it was.
That's why Mike Keith's the best. He's always prepared.
Is the best, and that whole crew, that whole Titans radio crew up there is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just hanging on.
I think you're doing more than hanging on, Coach. Let's hear what Gary has to say. Gary, you're on with JB and Coach Mack. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Gary, what's up, man?
Fight. Can you tell me what to look forward to with our wide receivers and our tight ends?
All right, Gary.
That's a really good point.
No, that's a good point.
Thanks for the call, Gary.
Again, Gary, thank you for the call. You can see the way, look, I watched every game, and I'm going to answer this question, but sometimes when I get asked a question, I'll go deep into it.
Yeah, take all the time you need.
I watched every game the Rams played last year. I was there when we drafted Jared Goff, and I knew what he had to develop from, where he came from. The genesis of this offense runs through the platform of the quarterback, but it takes time. It took time when Mike Shanahan put it in. It took time when Kyle Shanahan installed it. It took time, when Gruden installed it in Washington. It's going to take time here. Now, these receivers that we've got, I think you could see a glimpse of going on. I mean, Corey Davis had some really big-time plays in that ball game. Tajay Sharp, that third down catch he made on that dagger route, which I call a dagger, which is a deep dig across the middle on third down, that was big. Tywan Taylor, the move that he made, I mean, Honey Badger's still looking for him. He dropped him. We've got the receivers to run this. The offense just, needs to get into sync, and it takes time to get into sync. And again, they had to alter their game plan this last game because of the offensive line situation.
Sure.
They altered it. They made it work. They put in the Wildcat. I mean, they did a lot of things. Our receivers are going to be fine. And then Jonnu Smith, and of course, losing Delaney Walker is big.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say, I mean, Delaney Walker's a special player.
Oh.
And so now nobody's going to be the next Delaney Walker, but other people within this system have got to replace that production, whether it takes one guy, two guys, or three guys.
And, Jonnu Smith, I think, he's improved his run blocking tremendously. And I thought he played a very unselfish game the other day. He wasn't a huge part of the game plan, but he did his job, right?
No, absolutely.
He stayed in and blocked, and he helped out in the running game. And back to your point on the receivers, I really feel like as the running game gets going, these receivers are going to get a lot more big play opportunities with play action, and obviously that's one of Marcus Mariota's strengths is play action passing. Don't you agree?
No, I know it is. But look, the genesis of this offense, it's birthed off of the outside zone play. Because then all the play action comes off of it, all the screens come off of it, all the various bootlegs they have come off of it, all of the TRCs, I call transcontinentals, with the condensed formations from one side of the formation to the other, the throwback stuff, like the tight end throwback we saw in the Miami game. All that comes off of the outside zone run, and so you've got to get the run game going first. This last game, we had to alter our run game because it was a little bit different with the offensive line, so they put the Wildcat in. Innovative coaching, but this offense is going to be good.
Let's check in with Tony, who joins us. Hey, Tony, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, John and Coach?
Tony, what's up?
Great to have you on, man. What's up?
I was trying to find out, I'm a New York Giants fan to 100% to the core.
Okay.
So am I, and we are suffering this year, aren't we?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to find out from the coach, when did they start putting these little bitty cornerbacks because you got these great big receivers just running all over top of them, jumping all over top of them, and catching the ball, going up there for the ball like Lynn Swan and all of them. So I'm trying to figure out why does the NFL go to these cornerbacks? They might be quicker and faster, but they don't have no leaping. And the second thing I want to know that I don't see none of these NFL teams doing no bootlegs and draws like it used to be. The Giants and all of them was known for their defense, and when they got the defense, it's supposed to be the ones to win the game. If the offense can't move the ball, they've forgotten about that strategy.
Well, thank you for the call.
Thanks for the call,
let me address the corners real quick with you. And again, it's a point. This game has changed. This is a different game than it was. I got into the league with Mike Ditka and the Bears, in 1986, 34 years ago, however long that is. I mean, long time ago. I've been in this league. It was a different game then, okay, because you could jam people, you could do a lot of. Now, the way that the NFL has morphed, right now after 2 weeks, we are averaging more scoring, more yards, more passing yards than ever in the history of the National Football League. It's because of the way the rules are now. And to your point about the cornerbacks, if you can't touch a wide receiver after 5 yards, you've got to be able to have somebody that can stay with them.
Sure.
Now, these combat catches that you were talking about, that it's hard to do when those larger receivers come down and make those power forward moves and come up and block them off. But if you've got corners that are big enough to, it's hard to find corners that are big enough to muscle up with them and at the same time foot athletes enough to stay with them in the open space. This game has changed. That's why anymore your linebackers now that are playing on the second level, a lot of these guys now are your smaller, quicker athletes. Just because the game has expanded horizontally because of the way the rules are and the offenses that have come in with the RPOs. It used to be a lot of things would filter from the NFL down through the collegiate level to the smaller levels.
Sure.
Now the RPOs and the spread, that filtered up. And so and it's a good question, but I've lived it. I've lived it for 34, 35 years now. I've seen it morph. I've seen it change, and you just got to adapt.
Ulyss joins us now. Ulyss, what's up? You're on the air.
What's the status on Taylor Lewan and Marcus Mariota? You think they're ready to go by Sunday?
I think it's hopefully they're pointing in that direction. Marcus Mariota practiced today on a limited basis. According to Vrabel, he split time with Blaine Gabbert with first-team reps. He's working his way back. As far as we know, Taylor Lewan not cleared yet from concussion protocol, but he did practice today on a limited basis. So they're working their way back. We're just going to have to see how the rest of the week goes.
Well, absolutely, Ulyss. And again, the concussion protocol in the National Football League, just so everybody knows, that's out of the club's hands. It's not in the club's hands. It's an independent doctor that, I mean, you set a baseline. You set a baseline for that concussion test when you first come into camp, when everybody's healthy, and then you've got to be able to get back to that baseline with the test from an independent doctor until you can be out there for full go. Taylor was out there today. He was practicing on a individual basis. In fact, he was practicing some with with Coach Vrabel, just working on his get off. So I think he's in the protocol and he's progressing that way. Marcus Mariota, has still, and he described it today. Marcus did. He described the tingling he's feeling in his fingers with as a and I think it's very apropos for the Music City. He described it as a guitar string that once you pluck it, and it's still vibrating. When it finishes vibrating on its own, then it's done. That's the way his fingers are now. As soon as they settle down on their own, he'll be good to go.
Titans and Jaguars coming up on Sunday. We're going to wrap things up with Coach Mack right after this.